This just happened. The cat is out of the bag. We now know for certain that Forza Horizon 6 is coming to Japan. After all of those leaks and rumors, it was probably just a matter of time until we get final confirmation, but here we are. And now it's also pretty funny to see all of those alternative theory videos from people, who claimed they have evidence that, I don't know, Forza Horizon 6 is coming to Germany. But that's a thing of the past, luckily. So let's focus on the future and Forza Horizon 6 in Japan. I want to use this video as my first little brainstorming session together with you guys to see what kind of things we want to see changed in Forza Horizon 6 compared to 5 or even to 4. So yeah, I'm going to share a few first thoughts and ideas with you guys, but of course they won't be final, they won't be complete, so I definitely need you, I need your help. So let me know in the comments about your thoughts and ideas in terms of Forza Horizon 6. What needs to be changed? Let me know. And we start. So this relatively short announcement teaser only really showed us Mount Fuji in the background and the lake section, but apart from that we don't really know that much about the overall setting of the game. But we all know for certain that Japan features two very, very important attributes: character and scenic diversity. So on the one hand I'm imagining neon lit cities with things like construction sites, parking lots, industrial zones, small side streets, so that it all feels natural. And on the other hand, and this is where the devs can actually improve a lot, we need a more complex, more refined landscape around those cities. Unfortunately, Forza Horizon 5 featured so many repetitive and boring open fields that felt kinda meaningless. I mean, it says a lot that even after a few years I still have to use my minimap for this game to find specific spots or locations, or to basically know where I am. Yes, and my orientation sucks. I'm sure though that Japan should give playground games enough inspiration to create amazing biomes and environments. So please give us twisty mountain passes, lovely cities, expressways, even tropical islands, forest landscapes, shrines, whatever guys, I'm ready for it. And luckily the 4 seasons approach will work again. That's a nice side effect, and I'm still asking myself, why did we actually have snow tires in Forza Horizon 5? Category number 2, tracks, is obviously closely connected to the map, but definitely also just as important. In my opinion, the most beautiful landscape can already be pretty boring after a few days if the actual racing action doesn't feel right. And I truly believe there's lots of room for improvement here, as I wasn't the biggest fan of most of the Forza Horizon 5 racing tracks. I don't really understand why most circuits in Forza Horizon 5 take less than a minute per lap, and they're also pretty tight, which makes, the racing action or fighting with your opponent super hard most of the time. I would definitely love to see longer circuits, that go through different terrains that take a few minutes. I mean, people also love Fujimi Kaido or the Nordschleife in Forza Motorsport, for example. And as a side effect of that, it even gets more annoying when you play online and your loading times even match your actual racing times. So guys, please give me longer tracks with satisfying routes that just don't end right after the fight that I have gets exciting. And yes, I definitely know that the Goliath exists. Secondly, I'd love to see more official tracks. I think many of those Forza Horizon 5 streets were underused, and I'm pretty sure that some parts of the map, some parts of these streets weren't used for any track. And by that, I certainly don't mean that we need like 100 tracks at the release, no. But what about, adding 1 or 2 tracks every other festival playlist? The map is there and it's only about connecting the dots. And if I'm blind and, that's just too much effort, then guys, let the community help you. Use the best community tracks and put them on your map. I mean, of course, we've already got the event lab and custom tracks and stuff like that, but there's definitely a difference, between hiding this behind some kind of other tab and honoring those people and put them on your main map. And I truly believe this would push the engagement pretty nicely. Not so many people were actually happy about the multiplayer at the launch of Forza Horizon 5 due to many reasons. Connectivity issues, weird server structures, game modes that were just gone compared to Forza Horizon 5, and much more. And since then, the sentiment hasn't really changed that much. Today, around 6 years after the release of Forza Horizon 5, you still can't open a 12 players convoy with your friends and be sure that everybody loads on the same map, since Forza also loads randoms into this session. And this basically makes online cruising with friends almost unusable in this game. Hence, we don't only need private convoys, no, we also need private lobbies or private servers. Heck, even give me some kind of old boring lobby menu, you know, where I can just choose tracks and rules and stuff like that, so it basically looks like a Forza Motorsport lobby system, but make it stable and make sure that I'm actually playing with the people I want to play with. And in this context, please also bring back private adventures, you know, where I can set up some kind of championship with multiple consecutive races. At the moment, if I want to race with my lovely Johnson Racing community here, I have to set up every single race individually and have to go on the map every single time for each race. And this is so annoying. And once again, if I choose a sprint, setting everything up and loading into the race and loading out of the race definitely takes longer than the race itself. The whole systematic, you know, like with the shared map, with the convoy system, it feels a bit to me like they produced themselves in some kind of corner, and I genuinely hope they find a way out of that. Other than that, I think we also need more club features, you know, like races between different clubs would be so cool. Who doesn't want to see their club in the top 10 globally, or I don't know, simply beating the other club you don't like that much? Playing with your friends, getting better with your friends. This can be like the most rewarding and fun experience in racing games, in my opinion. You guys know that the multiplayer is a very, very important topic to me, so I could possibly talk about it for like 20 minutes now, but I won't get too much into detail, so let me know your thoughts in the comments and I'll just share one more thought at this point. The multiplayer needs to be more rewarding again, as I think there is like no game mode in the game that gives you less credits. Give online players the opportunity to unlock rare cars when they race, you know. Let them climb up in some kind of cool leaderboards, you know. Give them more credits, even that would be enough. And by unlocking rare cars, I certainly don't mean that you should only be able to unlock them there. No, it should only be one option, since I'm also aware of the fact that, you know, some people might not have the most stable internet connection, and some people simply don't like multiplayer, so yes. And this brings us straight to keeping the gameplay experience fresh in these service games-esque games, such as Forza Horizon 5, is probably the hardest challenge for game developers nowadays, you know. I don't want to be in their skin in this case, but I truly have to say that the festival playlist in Forza Horizon 5 felt like busy work, especially after having the festival playlist in these Forza Horizon games for so long now. We mostly have the same formats, the same event types, and yeah, this checklist-like approach. And honestly, I don't want to get 10 stars in a PR stunt in a Honda Civic in C-Class, in a PR stunt that I already finished. Why don't we only introduce like 1 or 2 new little pieces per week, you know? A new track, as mentioned before, a new community creation, or yeah, a brand-focused championship, or maybe let players use the car that they can then unlock. In any case, many players are a bit tired of the same systematic for like the last 2.5 games now. And what I said in terms of the unlockable car before also leads us to one other important topic, the fear of missing out approach in terms of new cars. Look, I get it. You need to keep motivating players day by day so that they come back and play your game. But I think the way they do it now in terms of unlocking cars is actually unhealthy and upsets many players. I remember when I was on vacation for like 2 weeks and missed 2 amazing cars, which were also super competitive. And it took me like half a year to actually obtain these cars afterwards. And honestly, I wouldn't see any huge issues here, you know, if we were talking about skins or something like that, you know, cosmetics like in other games. But in Forza, most of these cars are different and some have a competitive advantage. And it just shouldn't be the case that you're punished for simply not being at home for a week. I wouldn't even mind if they make those cars super expensive in the auto show, for example, you know. Let them cost 30 million, 40 million, whatever. But give people the chance to obtain them afterwards. Or even, I don't know, put them in the store for €1, for $1, whatever. I mean, this is real money then. But, you know, if you decide to have this car, then you can still get it somehow and you're not lost and, yeah, locked out. Or what about some kind of token like those backstage passes? Super rare, but brings you back to an older festival playlist. By these approaches, most players would still go for the grind, but simultaneously you're not losing the others. But hey, maybe we'll be surprised and Playground Games actually comes up with an amazing idea. Right now I could talk about so many more topics, you know, like the car list itself. I'm a big fan of less, if done right, is definitely more, by the way. We could tackle adjustments in terms of the tuning settings, you know, including all of those meta options and, you know, the performance index in general. We could obviously also talk about the occasional weird AI. I mean, who doesn't like to get overtaken by a compact car with 400 kilometers per hour in a turn on the outside? But I actually want to leave these topics for a follow-up video and would like to ask you guys, my lovely Johnson community, what do you think? How should Forza Horizon 6 address FH5's little flaws? And it's definitely for certain that this game is going to look amazing, this game is going to have an amazing vibe, and all of us are going to play the hell out of that game. I'm your favorite German potato, thanks for watching, don't forget to smash that like button, I'll see you next time. Cheers.